Well, I've got my turkey breast in my crock pot from this morning on. So I'm going to make a couple nice sides to go with my boneless turkey breast that's been in my crock pot since this morning. So we're going to start right now and make it a nice stuffing. And what I did is I didn't have time to do my bread, make them into cubes from Fresh Bread. So I just bought a country style stuffing cubes here. And part of them are whole wheat bread. So I have a mixture of white cubes and I've got a mixture of whole wheat. And then over here I have already pre-cut my celery. And I pre-cut most of my onion. I've got probably one good onion in there. And so what I want to do today is to finish showing you how to cut. I've left part of the root came off on that one, but you do want to cut your onion this way so that you leave the root on. And then that makes it a little safer. It stays together. And then just slice your onion a few times that way, and then going down like this, make your slits, your slices. And then just, because we would like these as thin as possible, because we've got a stick of butter melted on my skillet on the stove, because we're going to saute all this beautiful, look how nice that is. There. I think we're going to stop right there. That looks like a good amount of onion. And what I like to do for my homemade stuffing is I like to put equal amounts of celery and equal amounts of carrots. And we're going to just quickly start this into my saucepan, my skillet. I've had some butter melted already in there. We'll just let that start to sizzle up. And over here, I have a combination of sage, rosemary, and thyme. It came 3 in a package, which was really nice. This is the leftover, the sage, the rosemary, and the thyme. What I do is I just take the stalk and just pull it off like that. And you've got all the little pieces that come off. And I've already got enough in here. Just going to run another quick chop through this all, and this is going to be our seasoning. We're going to put this into our concoction here of our celery and onion. And then one last thing I like to do is add a fresh apple to my stuffing. It just makes for a really nice, sweet stuffing. And this process will probably take, the cooking time will probably take you about 20 minutes maybe. I like to leave the skins on. So we're just gonna chop away our apple. And with all the onions that I use, I probably use 1.5 of this size onion, which is a pretty good amount. You saw the onions I had there going into the pan. So remember, when you chop the onions finely, it really makes a good amount. And the onion also will make for our nice sweet sauce, our sweet flavor in our stuffing. There we go. I need to sharpen my knife here. So that little medium-sized apple did us a really good amount, because what we're going to do is just add that, like I said, and add to the sweetness of the stuffing. A lot of people like to put meat in their stuffing, the sausage and even chestnuts. When I was growing up, that's what my mother did. Being from an Italian background, you know, the sausage and the chestnuts. I just never really got into that, probably because when my kids would hear about it, they'd go, chestnuts, what's that? So I didn't really take the time. Again, I'm all about quick and easy and fast meals. And this is an awesome stuffing that can be made with turkey or just as any nice side dish. That smells wonderful. Okay, now we're going to add I used a Honeycrisp apple. I would recommend a sweet apple just to keep it more on the sweet side. Get that all in there. Skins and all, because these are so tender. These were the end of, I live up north, the northeast corner, and it's the last of the Honeycrisp season. So I bought all that I could because they're a nice sweet and crisp apple. All right, we're going to just let this all simmer together for about 15 or 20 minutes. There's 15 minutes of sauteing on a medium-high heat, our onions, our celery, and our apple. And normally this is how I stop it, but you know what? I got the idea. I love sherry. I'm going to douse it with a little bit of sherry. And oh, by the way, have a sip for yourself. Whenever I cook with sherry, it's a rule. You have to have a little bit of sherry for yourself. Oh, yum. Isn't that nice? Okay, we can turn that heat off, put our sherry down. And over here at my stand, what I've done, I have already buttered a 9-inch pan. And now all of this wonderful flavor is going to go into our bread, cubed bread, the stuffing. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, we're just going to dump it as best we can. There we go. And just stir that all around. Look at the heat. And that's softening just a little bit, the cubes, just kind of tempering them. Let's get it in the bowl. Probably could have used a little bigger bowl, but there we go. Now, the last thing we want to do, look at that. See, you can hear they're all getting kind of softened from just the onions and the celery and the apple that we sauteed in butter. Oh, and don't forget all those wonderful herbs. Now I've got 2 cups of my chicken broth. We each have our favorites. Use whatever. If you like the canned kind, go ahead. I don't care as much for the canned. They're nice and I use them in a pinch. I wish I could say this was my homemade, but it's not. So I get something in my grocery store called Better Than Bouillon, and it comes in a paste. And you just put a teaspoon of it per cup, and it's, to me, it tastes very close to the real chicken broth that I would make. Now you're getting this nice and wet. See how that looks? And remember, we're going to bake it in an oven at 350 degrees, uncovered, for about 35-40 minutes. So it's nice and wet. I like mine a little bit more on the wet side. So what I did, and it will dry out on your, I made another cup just in case. And I think we're going to put about just that half a cup more. So we've got about, there we go. Now it's coming together a little bit more. Because you want enough liquid in there because it is going to dry up and make your nice stuffing. And then we're going to pour it into this pan. Now it's not all going to fit. The wonderful good news about this recipe is this is going to be for us tonight. And then I buy these little pans. They're like cake dishes and they're just metal. And I have them on hand, and I'm going to just butter it really well, because what I like to do is I like to also stick something in the freezer so that you can just pull it out at any time. If you want to bring a meal to somebody and you want to have a stuffing as a side dish, look at that. Look at that right there. we're going to put the rest back into here. It's our bigger pan. And just flatten it out. There you go. Now, these are going into the oven. Gonna bake at 350 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes. You can either bake this along with it, or you can just let this cool down totally in your fridge and then stick it in the freezer. And then you can pull it out for the next time you want to use it. All right, we've taken our stuffing out of our oven. It was baking in there for about 30 minutes, sorry. We're gonna just put some on a plate here. It's piping hot, look at that. Yum. You can smell the sage, the rosemary, and thyme. Delicious, delicious smell. And the onion has really cooked down and melted so nicely. What's nice, you get a little crunch from the crumbs and you get the soft. For those of you that like a stuffing on inside the bird, this is the best of both worlds. You get the soft, but you also get the crunch. So enjoy. If you want to know the recipe, go to my website, memorableFoodDishes.com.